Fan games come in a lot of forms, and a lot of the time, they aren't in very good form. But occasionally you'll find a fan game, it doesn't even matter what series it is, that just goes above and beyond your expectations, and really shows what can be done when someone with enough drive and skill wants to basically create a tribute to a series they enjoy, or create their own original concept based on that series. In either case, good fan games exist, and this is one of them. This is a Sonic fan game that was actually sent on my stream last night, and I don't remember who sent it to me, because I'm a horrible person and I forget things. But the game is called Eggman Hates Furries, which is a fairly humorous title. And it's a Sonic game, but it does a lot more than just be a Sonic game. It does so many things within what is a fairly short presentation that I'm wondering why Sega hasn't attempted a lot of these things before, because they're such clever concepts that take full advantage of what Sonic can do as a character. The game's story is fairly simple, though. Eggman is trying to get all the Chaos Emeralds, you have to stop him. It's really, really simplistic in terms of that, and it doesn't get fleshed out much further, but it doesn't really need to, because the gameplay more than makes up for it. The game is actually centered around boss fights, and that sounds strange, it's because it is. From beginning to end, the game is seamless. It's one stage after another. They're not even separated into stages. There's no end title screen that calculates your score or anything. It's essentially just one long level with mixed-in boss fights and platforming segments, and it's fantastically done. The platforming is about what you'd expect. The only difference is that this time Sonic is able to run up walls. And not just run up ramps and then up walls. No. You can literally jump on a wall and then he'll slowly run up them. And this actually is implemented in some of the platforming. The concept is used in some jumping puzzles, and overall it's a pretty interesting idea. But what really shines are the boss fights. These are some of the most creative boss fights I've ever seen in any game. The first one starts off with Sonic running over water. This is the whole fight. You're running from this thing over a lake, and this takes advantage of what Sonic can do as a speed demon. His trademark ability is to run the speed of sound. Why wouldn't you take advantage of that in the game? This boss fight more than takes advantage of it because the whole thing is set over water. The idea is to slam this thing into patches of land that you run into. It's speed oriented and relies heavily on the quickness of your reactions. But don't think this is the only kind of fight you'll see in the game. One of my favorite ones is where you're following this drill robot. This thing keeps drilling further and further, and keeps throwing mines at you. You have to avoid the mines while keeping up with the thing. You wait for its shield to go down and hit it. All the while this thing is doing loop-de-loops and running around underground like nobody's business, and you have to keep up with it. It's great. One thing I think I really like about the bosses is the sense of damage you feel whenever you actually hit them. Some bosses literally fly backwards every time you hit them, and there's explosions everywhere. It's very satisfying during these boss fights. The music helps too. Some of the music is actually borrowed from other games, such as Gunstar Heroes, and there's also some composed music made especially for the game. In any case, all the music is fantastic and really fits well with what you're fighting. That's not to say the game is perfect, no game is, and I guess now it's time for me to nitpick. There was one thing the whole time that was really bothering me, and that's the backgrounds. A lot of the backgrounds don't match the sprite shading on the Sonic characters. And I know that sounds really petty, but this kind of thing just drives me nuts. I hate it in 2D games when shading patterns don't match. It drives me up the wall. I know it's not a big deal and all the environments are done fairly well, but it's one minor issue. Another problem is that while the wall jumping is creative, sometimes it does stuff that I don't really like. I think you can run up the walls just a little bit too well at times. It's a bit rough around the edges. It works, and it's fine, but I think there's some minor issues with it that still need iron out. Another problem I noticed was during the segment involving the lava. You have to push these levers in order to activate certain machinery down here, and that would be fine, but the levers take forever to push. I don't think they should be sped up all that much. I know some puzzles down here require timing, which is why they're done like this, but sometimes they take way too long, and it just bothers me. For a fan-made game, the game is a decent length. It's not really long, and arguably it's fairly short, but it's for free, and it's a fan game, and it feels long. The game's difficulty more than makes up for the length, and it's long enough that I think you'll be satisfied in the end. Speaking of the end, the final battle is one of the most epic things ever done in any game ever. I refuse to spoil any of it for you. Just go download the game. There's nothing stopping you. It's free. If there's anything else to complain about, I will complain a little bit about the ending. Not because the ending was really bad, and I kind of see how there might have been a joke in it, I don't know, the whole thing just kind of took me by surprise. But I think that was the intended reaction, and that's fine. And I understand there might be creative interest here, and I understand why the creator of the game may have done it the way he wanted. Mainly because he wanted to. And I'm not going to question that. It doesn't ruin the game. It doesn't make it any less epic, regardless of whether or not it bothers you. So I'm not really going to bitch about it at all. Nor am I going to tell you what it is. Play the game. Anyway, speaking of the creator, he's a guy by the name of Oddward. Or at least I think he's the creator. I'm pretty sure this is a collaborative project, and I know there's a lot of sources, judging by the length of the credits. So he is probably not the only one I should be thanking for making such an awesome game. But in any case, he's the poster on the forum, so he's the guy I'm going to credit. Or girl. Is he a girl? I don't know. Maybe it's a guy. I don't know. I don't know anymore. Don't judge me. Anyway, all in all, Eggman Hates Furries is a fantastic game, and any Sonic fan would be happy enough to play it. It does a lot of things that I wish Sega would do. Not that they will. And you want to know why? Because this game does something that Sega kept trying to do and kept failing. This is a game that takes Sonic and does something newer with him, and actually does it well. Sega seems to have an issue with doing that, which is why they're trying to replicate the classics, and because their fans will never stop complaining that they won't replicate the classics. But there's a difference. I don't mind little throwbacks to the classics, but that doesn't mean I can't appreciate something different. And this is definitely different, and in the good way. So I highly recommend you check this game out. It's a fantastic experience. This is Darkness, and I bid you all a fond farewell.